45, exactly. Because of the number of people who are signing up to participate in the public forum, I'm afraid that we will have to keep you to, it's either going to be 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes maximum. If you can try to be the briefest possible, it would be deeply appreciated by your fellow citizens. At all times, decorum has to be kept in the room. So let's start with Laura Simon, please. When you go up to the podium, please state your name, your address, and let's go from there. Thank you. We'll start with 3 minutes.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Laura Simon. I'm a wildlife ecologist with the Humane Society of the United States. And as part of my job, I go all over the country trying to help communities resolve issues with wildlife.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rinkunis. I need to keep decorum. We had this checked with the town attorney who advised me that she is allowed to speak tonight. Thank you.
Okay. We have received a number of calls from local residents here in Stratford. I'm based here in Connecticut, who are very upset about the trapping going on at the Roosevelt Forest. And this is an area of expertise for me, and what I wanted to say to you is I fully understand the concerns about flooding and trees falling and being felled. However, we have really good solutions for that. Trapping is not a good solution. It's actually counterproductive. I'll start by explaining why. When you have beavers in an area, and the Roosevelt Forest is a perfect area for beavers, perfect kind of habitat, if you trap beavers out, you end up getting more beavers moving in because you're in a wetland area. You're not going to keep them out. And this turnover, you have no idea where the next set of beavers are going to set up their lodge and build dams. So you're going to have an ongoing problem. If you can trap them during the trapping season, but if you have a flooding issue outside of the trapping season, you're going to end up paying a lot of money to hire somebody to come in. The other problem with trapping is that when you trap out the adults, you leave orphaned young behind, which is a humane issue. But most importantly, the method of trapping them, the conibear trap that is used, is extremely inhumane. I'm not just saying this from an ethical point of view, but if you look at the scientific studies, what you see is this trap, if the animal entered it perfectly, it could bring about a humane death. But in the wild, when you have free-roaming animals, you can't control how they enter the trap. And as a result, many of the animals are crippled and end up drowning, which can take up to 18 minutes. So it's not a humane death. And the better solutions, you can avoid all the controversy, you can avoid the humane issues and the fact that it just doesn't work. What we have is something called beaver baffling devices. They're water flow control devices. And what they are, they're a pipe-based device that you put through a beaver dam and you set it at the level that you want the water. So you control the water level. Now, a device works if it's installed properly. And I looked at pictures of the pipe that you have. It was not installed properly. It's not a big enough pipe. The diameter is it's not big enough to handle the water flow. And it looks like somebody may have dredged out or tried to destroy part of the dam. So all told, it wasn't installed properly. If it is installed properly, it does control the flooding and it keeps the water where you want it. There's a company in Massachusetts called Beaver Solutions that specializes in doing just that, in installing water flow control devices. They just did a device in Essex, they've done some in Bethany, and they have almost an 100% success rate. Once you put a device in, that's it, you're done. It's got a minimal maintenance, and you have a very cost-effective solution. I encourage you to consider that. And for tree felling, we can teach you how to wrap trees through a Boy Scout project and hit select trees, and you won't have a felling problem. So we'd like to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Nancy Rice.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Nancy Rice, and I'm here tonight to ask the Town Council to really, first of all, listen to what Laura Simon had to say. I've been,
I'm sorry, Nancy, what's your address, please?
Norwalk, Connecticut.
Your address?
Aiken Street. Is that good? To listen to what Laura Simon had to offer. Over the last week, I have offered contact information for another wildlife biologist who has similar experience, and sadly, not one person on the commission or that I've given the information to has bothered to contact this person. It's a little bit disturbing. I would just like to ask the town council and the mayor, who, as far as I've been told, have the authority to overrule the vote that we feel should not have ended the way it did. I think that they were not given correct information. You relied on the DEEP to provide a trapper who is in the business of killing animals. The DEEP is in the business of hunting, trapping. That's where they get their revenue from. So that was the information that they were going to give to the commission. There, as Laura explained, there are solutions out there, and true solutions. Killing the beavers is not the solution because, as she explained, they're going to come back. It's been done all over the country. It's been done in Canada. And I would ask that the town council and the mayor overrule that commission vote, remove those traps until we can get Laura Simon in here on March 23rd to speak to the commission and present more details. Or if they don't want to wait till the 23rd, I had ordered a DVD, which I explained to the people I had emailed, from this other group, and many communities have watched this DVD and gone out and solved the problem. But I think it's important before any more animals are killed. I understand that one was killed today. I also want to mention that Tina Beto told me in an email that there has not been any flooding problems. No water has left that forest. And I think misinformation was given at the meetings. She also told me dozens of trees have fallen in the forest. I've asked for proof of that. I can't imagine that dozens of trees have fallen in Roosevelt Forest, and that didn't make the news somewhere, or somebody didn't say, my goodness, trees are falling, dozens of them. So I'm asking for proof of this information that was presented to the commission members. So I really think that we need to overrule that and start again, but most importantly, get those traps out before any animals are killed. One other point I'd like to make, the DEEP and the trapper refer to beavers as nuisance animals. Many scientists consider them keystone animals. They're very, very important to the biodiversity. They're important. You know, these animals do what they do. There's reasons for that, and it can only help that forested area and the wetland area if they're allowed to do what they should do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person is Bill Minetti, and then after that will be Frank Parody.
Good evening. My name is Bill Minetti. I reside at 23 Pearl Street in Seymour. I brought some traps, and I won't speak long if you'll allow me to just show one and snap it, and I'll be gone. I oppose the lethal trapping of beavers. I think it's not a solution. I think it's a postponement of the problem. May I bring it in?
You have 3 minutes, yes.
Thank you. This is the trap that's being used. It's called the body gripping trap or body crushing trap. Designed in 1929, by the way, sometimes referred to as a conifer. Excuse me?
He wants you to speak into the microphone.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Okay, this is what's known as a body gripping trap or a body crushing trap. It was designed in 1929 by a man named Frank Conabear, and sometimes it's referred to as a Conabear trap. He had the original patent on it. It's basically set up much like a mousetrap. It's spring-loaded. These are the springs on either side. I've already set them. The trigger is a wire that sits between the frame, where the hope is the beaver will swim through and set off the wires or the trigger. Now I'm going to use a newspaper, making believe it's the beaver swimming through. Again, it's designed to kill or crush the animal, but it usually doesn't happen because the beaver doesn't read the instruction booklet and may swim in sideways or very quickly and get caught by the tail or get caught by the nose. If it's a subadult and is caught on the neck, it'll die pretty quickly. But if it's a yearling or an adult beaver, you've got a lot of muscle and fat back there, it's not going to kill the animal quickly at all. Okay, I'm going to release the springs. Again, the animal will swim through, and that's what happens. So you'll get a broken neck, but you won't necessarily get a dead animal quickly. So I think it's a cruel non-solution, and I hope next time around you'll consider not going with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next person is Frank Parody, please.
Why do I have to follow that? Wow. My name is Frank Parody. I live at 798 East Broadway. I just want to say good evening. First time I've had the opportunity to address the council since the new council was voted in. It's good to see people who are friends. It's good to see some friendly faces. Good to see some good people. Briefly, awareness that there's a position of town historian that was held by Mr. Knapp, who's since deceased, written some fabulous books that I've been looking at of the history of the town. And I recognize that it's a position that the council would only approve of a nomination. But a week ago when I applied, brought the information to you and brought my application and my resume to this body, I also dropped it off at the mayor's office. This morning I called, I emailed, and have not yet heard, and I would suppose that we'll take that as it is. I recognize that there's a lot more important things to do. But a position of town historian is an unpaid position. It's a position without very much power. If you look at the town charter, it can occasionally be used as an advisory position for this board or any body that wishes somebody to do some in-depth research. Mostly it asks that people have familiarity and knowledge of the town's history. More importantly, be someone with the credentials of a professional historian, and also be able to publicly speak well, which I don't think is much of my problem. I'd like to have the position simply to be able to advance the idea of history, both the town's history. There are some interesting things on the horizon. Whitehead's flight, or whether or not it took place here in Stratford or not, is one of those historical issues that might be something of interest in the future, might be something that people can publish or create around. The history of the town is pretty much settled. I mean, the books have been published. The material is there. I would see it as an opportunity to represent the town in other towns as the historian, to come before other groups as the town historian, to speak, as I've already done talks at the library, to also continue that. So it's an opportunity to utilize my skills, my knowledge to help the town, to bring to the town. 2 years ago, I came before your predecessors and asked to be appointed to a board or commission. 2 years later, nothing has occurred from that. I also at that time addressed Mayor Harkins about this. He suggested that I go speak to the Historical Society, which I did, but again, absence of any response has to be taken as a negative. So again, I appreciate your time. As you see, I have the skills, I have the credentials, I have the willingness to do it. I'm another citizen who wants to participate in the town in some way.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Parody. Mr. Barksdale, and then Bob Jaco, please.
Good evening. My name is George Scott Barksdale, residing at 180 Grove Street in Stratford, Connecticut, and I'm currently a member of the Short Beach Commission. Last year, the Commission approved its first 5-year strategic plan, which included the completion and opening of a new clubhouse restaurant in the 2016 season. This restaurant was in the original plans of the clubhouse conceived many years ago. The restaurant adds value not only to the golf course, but to the entire Short Beach Park and the town of Stratford. It's a new revenue stream for the golf course and will support our efforts in placing the course on a solid path to financial sustainability. During this month's commission meeting, we learned that there would be a delay in the restaurant's contracting, allowing a formed group to review the lease details and current market value. This delay is obviously was not expected by the Commission. This delay does not support a strategic plan. It is simply without merit. It's contradictory to the Council's responsible stewardship of the previous Council. It's contradictory to the work of the town Attorney's Office and the Office of the Economic Development. It puts the restaurant's financial success at risk. I appreciate the issue that has been added to tonight's agenda. It is my desire for the town to complete and execute the contract with the selected vendor. Let's move forward with the project and get it done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Barksdale. Mr. Jekyll? Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm afraid I can't read the next name. Somebody E.H. at 9413 Seminole? No? Does anybody live at 9413? I think it's Seminole? No? Okay. Next person then is Danielle Wilson.
Hi, my name is Danielle Wilson. I reside at 1492 Elm Street, Stratford. I speak not just for myself, but for my entire family. I just wanted to say that I feel strongly that the way that the beaver situation has been handled is not only inhumane, but due diligence was not done before this decision was reached. It seems like it was a rushed decision, and the way that the beavers are being called a nuisance animal is inappropriate, as well as the taxpayers' money is being handled as wasteful. The beavers are going to come back. You kill them, and they're going to come back. I feel that the decision needs to be looked at again by this council and the Roosevelt Forest Council, and a humane, appropriate decision needs to be reached. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilson. Next person is Nicholas DeLuca. DeLuca?
Hi there.
Hi.
Nicholas DeLuca, 1790 Cut Spring Road. In Stratford.
Could you repeat, please, into the microphone?
1790 Cut Spring Road in Stratford. I'm one of the persons where the flooding is occurring, so I've been at my present address for 24 years. We hadn't noticed any issues. Recently, with the dam breaking in Cook's Pond, we noticed that all the fish were killed. And from my bridge, we noticed that all the beavers were traveling upstream towards our property. Until the article that my wife read Friday night in the Stratford Star regarding this matter, and I want to be clear, I'm totally impartial, but I am an engineer. I build hundreds of thousands of cell towers, my teams. I'm familiar with rodent protection. And the light bulb went on Sunday morning to both of us that all these huge 80-foot oaks that cannot even be moved by heavy equipment are falling all over the back of our yard. And tomorrow night at 5:30, there's people that are going to meet at my house, Larry Ciccarelli and some others, and I welcome anyone who wants to come there. These trees, when they're toppled, their root systems are twice the height of a man. They're huge, and none of these problems occurred before the dam broke on Cook's Pond. There's severe erosion going on, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, on top of the erosion that's affecting all these trees that are collapsing, and I'm talking about today's situation, not what will happen if the brood doubles or triples in size, and there's 12 of these animals. The other thing is we just finished a $1 million refurbishment of the aquarium 30-inch water main that's on my property where these trees are falling. It's completely wet and soggy right now. That water main, there's two water mains for the city of Stratford, a 36-inch main under Huntington Road, and this 36 auxiliary, which is used and needed in the summer. So the aquarium folks were just in there last week cleaning, and it's very difficult for them to work. So it's very wet, soggy, and they need access. So I brought pictures, and I have any of them available to anyone who wants to see them. I went into the woods maybe 10 to 15 feet behind my property, and there's a 30-foot dam that these beavers built. I undid about 6 feet of it, lowered the water level by a foot, and the next night they rebuilt it, and it was a big joke. And so we're believing that this 15-foot wide pumpkin ground brook, which is now 50 or 60 feet by 300 feet long, if we continue to let these animals stay there, there's going to be more erosion. It's going to go downstream. There's some low-lying homes around Cook's Pond, mosquitoes, and I actually do have photographs of larger bobcats and coyotes, which came on occasion, but now they're more frequently, and they're actually quite large. And anybody who wants proof of anything I'm stating here tonight, all they have to do is contact Larry, and I will provide them the information. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. DeLuca. John I can't read the writing again. It's John Francis? I'm sorry? Ah, okay.
Good evening, folks. I believe, Mr. Llewellyn, this is in your district, 9th district, that we're talking about here, right? Reading this article in the Stratford Star would have one believe that...
I'm sorry, what's your address, please?
2116 Huntington Road, ma'am. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. We're looking here at people complaining about flooding in their backyards on Barrister Road. Okay? Barrister Road is at least 10 feet above any water level in Pumpkin Ground Brook. So is Pumpkin Ground Road. So my concern is what they're talking about. I went and surveyed the area. I went and looked at it yet twice, as a matter of fact. What we got is a bunch of trees coming downstream in certain spots, debris all over the place. The town put a two-foot Orangeburg flexible pipe. They call that a relief. A relief of what? What needs to be done there is that river, that pond, that stream has to be cleaned up. I don't know what the situation is with this gentleman who talked before me up in Cut Spring Road, but from what he's talking about with the heavy equipment there that blew up half of Cut Spring Road to put those condos in, probably disturbed underground water and different waterways, all right? So much for progress here in the town of Stratford. A buck always gets the way he wants to go, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I've lived on Huntington Road for 47 years. My property borders Beaver Dam, okay? Now, in fact, the town wanted to buy my property from me. I says, no go, okay? I've walked that area in the back many, many times. All right, so what's going on with this paper? Evidently, I got some wrong information from Mr. excuse me, Mr. David. Maybe then what happens? From the town council to the Board of Education, now he's the commissioner of Roosevelt Forest or something, you know? So how much can one person do, you know? But I'm finding this stuff to be actually bogus. This gentleman here spoke before me, I don't know, but I'm certainly going to go up and look at what he's talking about, okay? It has nothing to do with what's in this paper, Barrister Road and Pumpkin Ground Road, okay? That's the excuse they're giving you to kill beavers, okay? I don't believe them beavers swam all the way up there overnight. All right? And what you have now in Pumpkin Ground Brook, you have trees, tree stumps, no beaver builds a dam carrying 5-foot tree limbs or anything else, okay? I've seen them before. We've got plenty of wildlife there. Beaver Dam is a nice place. If some of these people in town here are probably set on destroying it, okay? When I'm gone, they'll probably bang in 9,000 condos on my property. Who knows, okay? That's about the fact of life, but that's the truth about it. That's what's going on in Pumpkin Ground Brook. Leave the beavers alone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis. Thomas Yates, please.
Thomas Yates, 30 Avery Street, 7th District. I'd like to first, I don't want to talk about the beavers, that's another story. But I want to talk about the policy of ending the take-home car for town employees. I think the police and fire should be exempt. They're 24/7. That's a public safety issue. They need the vehicles. And as far as Public Works, the Public Works Director needs a vehicle, I believe, the Superintendent of Highways, and a gentleman that's in charge of buildings, and that's it. Anybody else on that list, I think there's 18 more people, they should have their cars taken away at the end of this week. And as the mayor stated in January, he wanted to give them mileage, go back and forth to town to work here. That should be eliminated too. We don't need to be paying for these people to go back and forth to work. They all make over $100,000 a year. If they don't want to work for that, let them go work somewhere else. Now, I'm all for building a new Stratford High, but West Haven has the same project just like we have. They're going to rebuild their high school as new. Adonisio is the architect. Turner Construction is the project manager for the high school. Their project comes in at $124 million. Our high school comes in at $123. The state of Connecticut's only going to give us 60.3% reimbursement rate. West Haven is getting 75% reimbursement rate. This is the article from the New Haven Register, the presentation that was gave to the people in West Haven. So I'd like to give this to somebody in the council if you want to look at it. I want to know how come we're getting shortchanged if they're getting 75%. Also, in the city of Hartford, there's a school that was closed up, Clark Elementary School. Now, one of the aldermen was on TV last week saying the state of Connecticut's given them 80% of the cost to rebuild that school because they have to tear it down because it's contaminated with PCBs. Hartford's getting 80%. West Haven's getting 75%. We're only getting 60%. I'd like to know why we're not getting equal to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yates. Peggy Barnish, please.
It's already beeping and I haven't started. My name is Peggy Barnish. I live at 65 Long Branch Avenue, Stratford, Connecticut, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm wearing green because I'm here for the beavers. And I want to thank the one person who voted not to kill them. A gentleman I don't know, Peter Mariconda, and I thank him. I see these other people all voted to do it, and I'm not sure. Again, it sounds like nobody answered when these other people had some information, and I don't know that probably wasn't the council. It wasn't at the council yet. But commission, I worry about some of the commissions in this town because I've been at some of the meetings where they've passed information, and I don't know who's saying who to what. There's got to be a better way. And I'm really shocked when I think about the fact that one of the biggest issues here in Stratford is the Army engineer plant that takes up so much of our waterway. Nobody called them. If you look online, I'm not very good at that, but I have a friend who did it for me. There's a lot of articles on how they would deal with beaver dams and lots of other dams. I was a lucky person to live in Seattle for 20 years and saw the wonderful salmon walkway that they built because they had an issue in Seattle when they wanted to have boats go through. Lake Washington is one height, Puget Sound is another. When they fixed that for the residents, it was a problem for the salmon. So the Army engineers came in, and they built this little waterway for them. Now, it may be that this group up in Massachusetts has a good solution for us, but I certainly think if they will do it for Stratford, that we ought to invite them to come in and take a look at the whole issue at Roosevelt Forest. That is what they do. That is what they do for us, the American people, and I don't see why we can't call them and ask them. I have their phone number if anybody wants it. I tried to reach Mr. McCarthy today, but I missed him. So I will try him tomorrow. I understand that the commission has joined with him, the Public Works Department, to see what might be done and see if maybe he would contact them or give me some place for them to email him back. But my goodness, it's a huge organization that does wonderful things all over the country. Why can't we be one of them, please? There's no need to be killing these beavers when there are better solutions. And I did read the article in the Star, and I was very interested to see what Bob David said. First of all, he said euthanize, and I looked up euthanize in my little dictionary, and it says, very simply, humane mercy killing. This is not mercy killing. It falls better onto the definition of slaughter. Slaughter, if I can even find it here. Slaughter, great and cruel destruction of lives. Great and cruel destruction of lives. And probably unnecessary if we look in the right places. So I just wanted to leave you with two thoughts. One, long, long time ago, Mahatma Gandhi said,
Thank you very much, Ms. Barnish. I can't. There are
you will
number
know a
of people.
society by the way it treats its animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Valeur, please.
Good evening. My name's Andrea Vayu, and I reside at 441 Washington Parkway in Stratford, Connecticut. I'm here this evening because I'm distraught and a little dismayed. Again, I've been through several budget seasons, and here we are yet again with a pony and show, and I'm hoping that we're not going to use the students as political pawns. And I hate to see the seniors versus the students in Stratford. I think we're doing, again, too much too soon with an 8% increase, and the mayor looking at a 7.4% increase. I appreciate and always have advocated for the students, but I feel right now that there's no one watching the store, so to speak. Our enrollment has dropped, and I think some of the students have been counted twice. You can't count some of our students that are going to Tech and Aqua. They're in our base school numbers. I found some discrepancies, and I would ask the town council just to look at the numbers. Look at the differences in the variance from the 2015 budget to the 2016 proposed budget, from the first proposed summary to the final revised budget. One interesting line item I found was an increase of 7% in the custodian line item with no staff increase. I don't know what that means. I would like to ask and thank our legislators. Stratford received $400,000 extra in ECS funding. Stratford, the town, did not allocate that to the Board of Ed. We also have it for this year coming. I would ask that the town allocate that for the purpose of the Board of Ed to use. We are an urban district, and we have different needs. We're not Newtown. We do want to support smaller classrooms, but we are a diverse community. I would ask where the revenue is. I haven't heard any discussion on the revenue, excess cost, ECS funding, and also this year was the warmest winter on record. Where's our savings for our energy savings? Typically, the Board of Ed could prepay something like the 6-to-6 magnet tuition. So I would ask for more details, and I do support education, but please, I think if this was a different majority, town council, the budget put forward would actually be a different percentage increase. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael Bingham? Michael Bingham? Okay, decide not to speak. Okay, thank you. Ann Martirana?
Good evening, Ann Martirana, 285 Reeds Lane. I'm here to speak in favor of the proposed increase to education funding. I just want to say we love our school, Eli Whitney School, and the teachers are to be commended for their dedication to the children and to our town. I've said this in the past. We've tried to move twice, but we couldn't sell our house, and you know, I know a lot of families are like us. We're trying to get out of this town because we feel like the school system is a sinking ship. But now that we're here and now that we're involved, we have a completely different view of that, of our schools, and of wanting to stay here. And the mayor's proposed budget is, for the first time in a few years, leading to some promise that we're going to be spending not just on salary benefits and special ed funding, because in the past we haven't had enough of an increase to even cover those costs. And so I'm applauding, you know, that part of the mayor's budget for giving Dr. Robinson and the Board of Ed something to work with. I'm asking you to look closely at the town hall side of the budget to avoid raising taxes and to invest in our school system. We're currently in the bottom of our DIRG for spending per student, yet I learned today that we pay our registrars more per voter than most towns in the state. We heard about the waste at town hall throughout the elections, and I realize it could become very uncomfortable to think about people you know, friends and their jobs, but how could it have been more comfortable for years to avoid that while cutting from our kids? That discomfort. We've lost several great administrators at the elementary level that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there are many more, simply because why stay in a town where your teachers and children cannot succeed because they don't have what they need, when you can go to an easier town where there is more spending, more support from the town, and better test scores. Our district should be sought out by the best teachers, administrators, and families. Thank you for listening, for volunteering your time, for corresponding back and forth. I really appreciate it. It's a different experience than I've had before. And just please work together despite your differences and your disagreements and do the right thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Frank Miser? Miser?
Frank Mister, 51 Liberty Street, Stratford, District 4, and David. Just trying to point out we've been having quite a bit of a drug problem with High Park. Everybody looks at me like I got two heads when I call the police department. The police have no recollection of there being a problem there. In the past week, just off of Liberty Street, I brought in bags from daily droppings from the kids. I've got a bag here since May of last year with more drug paraphernalia. We're a dead-end street. We never see any police presence in the neighborhood at all, unless we call them. It'd be nice to see that they sit and write their reports in front of the house next to the park. It'd be nice to see them sitting on the other side of the park, which is where Avo and Summit Street is. Mm-hmm. It's been an ongoing problem, and as the spring comes, it escalates. You know, along with the drug problem, you get the car doors slamming all hours of the night. Daytime, these kids are brazen. They're out there in the middle of the afternoon. Yesterday, they tossed it out right in front while I was in the driveway. I said to the kids, can you pick up your mess? Of course, without going up there to see it, I can't tell whether it's drugs or whether it's, garbage, which is common with the park. But I'd like to see if we can have a little more attention directed towards that. I don't know if you'd like to see any more of this, but...
I think if you leave it, we can give it to the police department, if you'd like to do that.
I can do that.
Madam Chairman?
And hopefully David would help me look into this a little farther, too.
Sir, what was your name again?
Misur, M-I-S-U-R. Looking at the page.
Frankie?
Yes. Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah, the Public Safety Committee is meeting tomorrow. We'll make sure that it'll be brought up.
Appreciate it, Ben.
And it'll be at the police station.
All I can do is ask for help. You're asking for the public's help to call. Well, there again, yesterday I called. I didn't see one cop car in 20 minutes. And half the time when we do call, they're either there for 5 minutes or they're gone. And when I have seen the police come up to the kids, I don't know, I guess I'm old school. Maybe I would think you'd haul them down to the station, call their parents, and, then they'll let the parents, do the disciplining. But it's a problem. And it's not just young, it's different ages, different races. You can't peg it down to anything. Most of the time, the cars are actually nicer cars. So what are these kids doing? And then there's cars that sit there for 2-3 days in a clip. So are they dealing, or are they just sitting there smoking, or just doing their drugs? So I don't know, I could add more, but that you get the gist.
Thank you very much for coming out tonight and sharing that with us. Roger Cox, please.
Good evening. Roger Cox at 320 Reigate and Lordship. I moved here about 2 years ago, and I'm now retired, which is great. And I walk to Short Beach at least 5 times a week. And I see a lot of, especially in the summertime, a lot of handicapped people in wheelchairs down at Short Beach. They're either on the sidewalk or on those wooden walkways, which don't allow you to get down to the water's edge. So I am in favor of the accessibility mats, which I know are on the docket for Short Beach, and because it will allow them to get all the way down to the water's edge and cool off and get their feet in the water and so on. And also, if they own a kayak or a family member owns a kayak, on the right side there'll be a mat as well, so someone can load them in the kayak and they can enjoy a nice trip on Long Island Sound. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cox. Edward Goodrich, please.
Edward Goodrich, 2320 Elm Street. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Council, for donating your hours to the town of Stratford. These are exciting times. Been doing a little reading in the paper and seeing about, there's discourse on the council, and we have to get this done. We haven't got that done. But I could tell you, I think in a little bit of ways, a little bit of discourse is good. I'm kind of liking seeing a lot of transparency. I know the meetings have been going late, but we've been talking about things, and when we don't have discourse, sometimes that's when the trouble starts. And I could tell you in the previous councils how things got passed that never should have gotten passed. So, I just think that I know we all have to work together, but a little bit of, the sparks do fly a little bit, but everybody get their ideas out and come together. I'm liking this a lot more than just sleeping through some of those other previous councils and then having to clean up after something like the WPCA and Shakespeare. And of course, I'm going to remind people tonight, and I know that you have a lot to deal with the budgets and everything, that's going on. I know you have a tough job, but you're doing a good job. You're hanging in there, and we're going to get it done. I'm a true believer in that, and I think we have a lot of good people here. But, we have to keep in mind, and I know that Shakespeare is going to be coming down the pike, and we have to look at things really realistically. And this is a good thing in Stratford. Now, we got to look at the books. We got to look at everything. We got to look at what to cut, and we got to look at Shakespeare and Stratford High. You're shaping Stratford for years to come here. And you got to be conservative, and you got to be prudent, and you got to listen to one another. And I could tell you with Shakespeare, and I have to keep reminding people time and again, I've been down there for years, you cannot build a hotel there. And I think that we really have to we're going to, sooner or later, you got a lot on your plate, you got to get off the dime, but I mean, we have to get on with it. And it's a public space, it's a public park, and believe me, you could program that place a lot. And I know that we didn't have much of a budget when I was on the Arts Commission. We made a lot of money. We did the beer festival. We have the Mighty Quinn with the Rooney thing that is just going sky high. And we had the Connecticut Free Shakespeare on the lawn. We could have actually run that for a couple of weeks. We were very loosely organized. But that's a park. It's a space. It's a historic building. And we could use it. We need to use it in the town. We got to be smarter in this town. We got to be smarter, and this is why you got to make these type of decisions. It's a space that could be used. You get the right person in there as a director, and we could run this, bring people to town, and spend some money and elevate the town. It's just sitting there. We have to stop being waste. I know we're redoing Stratford, and we're talking about this place, but that space is down there empty, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Let's be prudent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodrich. Mark Dumas, Councilman Dumas.
Good afternoon. I won't take up too much time, but there's an issue that I want to address that isn't necessarily appropriate during the decorum of a regular meeting. On February 12th, our council chair posted on Facebook that the Shakespeare Theater project was delayed because one of the members was fighting for transparency. She said, in the guise of transparency was used to delay the projects. That's absolutely not true. If anyone recalls that meeting, I was calling for a vote in that meeting, and I'm calling for a vote today. The members of the council have received a opinion from attorney Christopher Rooney, one of the most respected attorneys in the state, about how we could do that, how we can't build a hotel, and how effectively why we're wasting time on the Stratford Stage Group. We need to get something done. We need to move on and have a vote. And that letter is on Open Stratford for anyone who wants to see it. So transparency is important, and to say that something's delayed in the guise of transparency is absolutely ridiculous. And we need to actually start doing stuff, and when there's something that we know isn't going to work, we need to move on. So let's vote tonight and let's get this theater going, because I want to get it going. I don't want to delay it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rimkunis, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Walter P. Rimkunis, 425 2nd Avenue, Lordship, Stratford, Connecticut. For 36 years, I've been championing something, the building across the street, Stratford High School. You 10 people have it within your power tonight to bring that to a fruitful conclusion on voting on both of these ordinances that come back from the Ordinance Committee about the monies to authorize the Stratford High School. It's about time we finally do it before it falls down around us. Don't let me down anymore. I ain't got much time. I want to see that done. Every time we finally got the money, we talked about it. Other people got more money, but we've got 60%. Let's get it done. Mr. Dumas over there brought something up to mind. We were talking the other day about it during the council meeting. And I got a couple questions. What's the difference between a license and a lease for 99 years? Has any one of you seen a site plan for the hotel? You done? On all this property? On the property? The site plan of all the hotel? Oh, you're one. What happens to the hotel if the Shakespeare does not go? They fold for some reason or other. Does the hotel stay there with the lease to them? Because that's how it's going. They're leasing it from the Shakespeare Theater, not the town. Will the town get to have to take it over and then incorporate that as a tax thing for the town? Where is this group and coming and get all this money to rebuild the Shakespeare Theater? I have yet to hear anything of that type. The only thing I heard about, we've got to have the motel to get it going. Where's the money go to get that 100% building back up before the hotel comes? Are they going to go behind? One more thing on Mr. Dumas. I don't know if he missed this or not. But all the time I've been asking our previous lawyer for the town, and I'm asking you people, has anyone of the law office looked into the land usage restrictions on the deeds? Is it feasible? Is it legal for them, or are we going to have another lawsuit? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rimkunis. Michelle Stanton, please. And after Michelle, Mr. Yem.
Michelle Stanton, 254 Hamilton Avenue.
And I'm sorry, and who are your associates?
These are my boys. They just turned 5 on Saturday. They attend preschool here in town and will be entering kindergarten, Lucas and Blake. I've been a Stratford resident for 11 years, and for the first 8 of those years, I was pretty ignorant. I didn't pay much attention or care about the politics of our town or the educational system. I just kept paying my taxes and assumed that they were being used as they should be, and all was well. But I stand here today feeling much more informed, having completed the Parent C Cohort 2, paying more attention, and just having my eyes and ears open. I'm far better armed with knowledge and the drive of these two wonderful little boys right here with me. And I feel I have to speak up. I have to speak up because as their mom, it's my job. It's my job to raise them to be smart and to be kind and to believe in equality and to believe that they can do anything that they set their mind to. For the first time, I have hope, and I feel as though I want to live in Stratford rather than being trapped here due to declining home values and being underwater. So many new faces here on the council and so many amazing ideas, big and small. I know you've come in at such a difficult time, and it's so hard to clean up other people's messes. But I feel like I see you trying, and as a resident, I really appreciate that. I don't expect giant changes at rapid speed, but what I do expect is to see positive changes, open ears, responsiveness, and encouragement. The money that's been proposed to go into our school system this year is the most that we've seen in many years, and it's a great start. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a great start. These kids that we've underfunded for so many years deserve this. We cannot stunt their learning any longer. Education is a major component of a town and one of the most important things families look at when deciding where they want to live. The achievement gaps, the lowest per pupil spending, we're scaring away people, and I don't blame them one bit. Looking at the numbers, the data is in black and white, and it's a bleak future. We simply must bring ourselves up to the top of the list. Our kids deserve it, and so does our town. So I hope this step is the first of many to give our kids what they need and deserve, and to make our town as great as we know it all can be.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Mr. Yam.
I'm Thomas Yem, 746 Broad Street in Stratford. I want to tip my hat to the Beaver people this evening, and I'm going to speak very quickly on only one subject. Council, you have a lot to do this evening, and I'd like to suggest a way to hasten the end. When the theater comes up on the agenda, please entertain a motion to break it off to end the contract negotiations with Stratford Stage Group. They've had precisely 1 year. We've gotten nowhere. It's time to move on. Permit me to remind you and the public just what these protracted dealings with the Reed Group have already cost the taxpayers and will cost us additionally should you persist in this folly. I trust that all of you, beyond a certain age, recall the sound of a cash register. Well, I do not have one with me, but I do have my son Morgan's xylophone, which makes a similar sound. So here goes. 1 year ago last week, the previous town council voted against the unanimous recommendation of the select committee chaired by Larry Ciccarelli to authorize the town attorney to engage in negotiating a draft contract with the Stratford Stage Group, or SSG. How many hours did the town attorney, Tim Bishop, bill the taxpayers for his services on this contract between March and October of last year? We do not have that information yet, as it has been requested, but so far withheld. But we can surmise it is plenty. Ka-ching. With thanks to my councilman Mark Dumas and his successful Freedom of Information request, we now know that since October of last year, when attorney Bruce Jackson took over from the theater contract assignment from Tim Bishop, until February of this year, the cost to the taxpayers has been more than $10,000. Ka-ching. Now there is a new town attorney from the prestigious, expensive, and politically well-connected firm of Bircham, Moses, and Devlin. I have requested, as has Councilman Dumas, a full accounting of their legal bills associated with the theater draft contract, and have so far heard nothing. But we can be assured that it will be substantial. Ka-ching. And then there are the incalculable future legal costs, such as litigating the matter of whether a Hotspur, or is it Hot Sheet, hotel on the Housatonic can ever be built, considering that the deed from the state of Connecticut prohibits it. Ka-ching. Or the expenses associated with battling the fully expected legal challenge from the boat club across the way, who've already indicated their expectation of a successful legal derailment of this foolish idea. Ka-ching. Wetlands Commission challenge. Ka-ching. Zoning challenge to any hotel. Ka-ching. Or finally, the expected challenge from the Mighty Quinn Foundation, who've spent the last couple of years actually fixing up the White House and bringing honor to Stratford's theater tradition with their student productions. Quinn will not be evicted from the White House without a fight, and they're likely to win. Ka-ching. Dear Council, you're going to have a long night. take one step towards sanity and drive a stake through this zombie organization called SSG and its plan to desecrate our Shakespeare campus with a bulldozer boondoggle. Stop the cash registers before it's too late. Ka-ching.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yem. Amy Bracco.
Hi, I'm Amy Bracco. I live at 254 Freeman Avenue in Stratford. First, thank you so much for your service to our community. I appreciate the difficult, financial situation you've inherited and must now sort out on the town's behalf. My family and I are new to the Stratford public school system. My son has had a wonderful year of kindergarten. I'm so thankful for his teachers and the administration and the more seasoned parents who've helped me navigate the anxieties around this school life. So this year, I'm also taking part in the Parent C program, and I've learned so much about the challenges facing our schools and kids. So tonight, I'm asking you to support the education budget and that no cuts be made to it. Year after year, our schools have been asked to cut into the budgets they've laid out, and our children require safe, clean, and effective environments in which to learn. They can't do with less. We don't have state-of-the-art facilities and resources, and that's okay. For now, it's okay. We haven't asked for any of these things because our educators understand that the city's finances are strained, that our school district's among the state's least funded. And so each school year, they take a deep breath. They face parents who are angry and frustrated and confused and scared, and they help us, they've helped me, understand that they'll do everything they can with what they've been given to give our children the best education they can. Recently, they successfully utilized crowdsourcing to fund 2 innovative and exciting programs for our kids, which I don't think the teachers ever even dreamed could happen. They're not budgeted for. They don't see extra monies like this. But our Stratford parents are paying attention, and they dug further into their pockets to support our schools. So please invest in our schools and children, so in turn, our children and schools can give back to this community. On March 30th, the Cohort 3, which I'm a part of in Parent C, is holding a World Cafe. It's to discuss different issues that have arisen for them. If you have not yet been invited by the organization, you will be. And I encourage you all to come and listen to what the parents have gone through, what they see on a daily basis, and hopefully get inspired by them, and hopefully inspire them as well with new ideas and changes that can be made, and hopefully a positive turn for our education system. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bracco. Linda Palermo is next. Linda Palermo? I don't see it.
Linda Palermo, 46 Bott Place. Good evening. I like that ka-ching sound. I used to hear that when I went to the casino. Nothing worked out too well, though. I urge this council to please move forward with our plans for Stratford High School. We have a start here. Let's go forward. Stand up, move forward, be heard, and be heard loud. I'd now like to address Shakespeare. We don't need a hotel. We don't need a motel. We got a few with a lot of empty rooms. Just give us our Shakespeare the way we had it. Let it be. Let it move forward as a theater. Please support that 110%. The other 90%, we'll have to see who we could get in to go with us. Now, I have an issue that I'd like to bring up, and it does relate to our police protection. About 2:30 in the morning, approximately 3 weeks ago, I saw this flashlight go on from a pole out alongside my unit. Somebody was either stealing the copper that SNET had in their original wires, or somebody was just being a wise ass. okay? The flashlight did hit my bedroom window. The next day, I called the Stratford PD, and unfortunately, I hit a desk sergeant that maybe wasn't in a good mood, but he didn't leave me in a good mood either, because the dispatcher wanted to take my complaint, and she says, if it needs to go forward, I'll move it forward. I says, no, you won't take my complaint. I'll give it to somebody. Either somebody comes out or I come in, because this person, there was suspicious activity. But what bothered me was the attitude I got from the desk sergeant. He thought I had two heads. I don't. I have one. Maybe I have a couple of brains and they're all working in different directions. However, the safety and well-being of the citizens of this town falls at the doorstep of that police department. A week later, somebody else came out, they climbed the pole, and they found that all the wires were pulled out of the box. My wire was snipped. I said, oh, happy day. At least they didn't get to the wire that controlled the phones. So I there again asked, okay, this is an FCC complaint. I want the police report so I can move forward. I then called the phone company again, and I said, okay, I asked that we have an investigator come out and find out what's going on with that pole. If one person could do this, anybody could do it. And where's the safety and well-being of the citizens of this town? Unfortunately, I heard that once it gets to FCC, it has to come back to the Stratford Police Department for them to investigate. I urge this council to make sure that the police department does answer those concerns. Be concerned with the citizens of the town, not, what's your bad mood? What are you at? Let's move forward and let's get the safety and well-being of this town in a position where it was once before. Thank you.
Very much, Ms. Palermo. Henry Bruce, please, who's next?
Henry Bruce, 37 Jefferson Street. Linda, I think the people that are stealing those coppers are the same people that stole the mysterious yes signs in front of the vitamin shop. So I just have a couple of quick questions. I think it revolves the budget gap that you're going to be talking about in the various resolutions. And I guess I just have a very basic question, why it's taken this council this long to get to this point. And still, the main resolution that's before you is still short $519,000. I don't understand that. And I don't understand, I understand some of the voices on the council who represent a lot of the people that voted many of you into office, that you're fighting hard to balance the budget. But I ask those of you on the council that aren't quite sure how you're going to resolve this issue tonight, to ask yourself, what's the most responsible thing to do tonight relative to this budget gap? Because if what I've seen personally and what I've observed over the last 60 to 75 days, if this is what to expect going forward, I have no idea how you're going to deal with the budget coming up for 2017, which I've already seen, and I've got a lot of grave concerns about how you're going to put a budget together that follows through on a lot of the promises that many of you made when you were elected into office. So I ask you to really think hard about this, because a lot of people out here, and a lot of people that are out here tonight are expecting that this current budget get balanced tonight, and that the budget coming forward in April will be no increase, and that you roll back that $50 scare tactic on sewer fees that the mayor put in front of you. So there's a lot of expectations out here, and I'm hopeful that all of you will take due consideration for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bruce. I think that concludes everybody I had. Robert Jekyll is on here again, but we already called him. Okay, he's here? Okay, come on up.
Bob Jekyll, 175 Twin Oaks Terrace. I do apologize for not being able to be here earlier. I did have a personal issue that I was tending to. I'm here on behalf of the Short Beach Commission, and more importantly, I'm here on behalf of all the residents that are going to benefit from the accessibility mats at the beach. It started before the holiday, about a mother requesting whether or not we knew of any beaches in the area that had mats similar to what they have in Florida that allow everybody to access the water the way they should. offered help as the Short Beach Commissioner, and I was recommended that maybe a block grant could be something that they could take advantage of. Went through that process, and tomorrow night we'll come and talk to them. In the meantime, I have gotten dozens upon dozens of emails and calls from people who want this to go through, and you can make it happen. It is not just about being able to put some mats down at the beach because it's nice to be able to say you can get to the beach. I've had conversations with people who avoid the beach because they don't want to bring a family member who can't enjoy the beach, because while everybody else is enjoying the water, they have to stay up on the sidewalk, or they get to go to the middle of the beach where the boardwalk is, and it's not good enough to see the water. If I wanted to see the water, I can Google beach, and I can see the water. If I'm at the beach, I want to be able to touch the water, and that's what these mats will be able to let us do. I've gotten contacted by VA groups who want to know, as soon as these mats in, how soon can they start their kayak clubs and their paddleboard clubs. I had a conversation with a minister last week about a completely unrelated topic, although something that Short Beach Commission is working on with our friends at Short Beach and teen nights. He has an adult autistic son it's very difficult for his coordination, but the one thing he can do, he can throw a Nerf football pretty well. And what they like to do is they like to go to the beach, and they'll go into the water about halfway up, and you know what he can do? He can spend an hour having an enjoyable time at the beach with his adult autistic son, and these mats make those things happen. It's not just about it's nice to see them there. It is about the difference it will make in people's lives, and you can make it happen. So when it comes to you, and we are hoping that the Block Grant Committee sees the worthiness of this project, and you as the council agree, these mats need to be in place this summer. And if anybody has any questions about them, I would be happy to share with them. I have already spoken to the park superintendent. He has no problem with them they are movable, they are portable, and we would like 600 feet of them to make sure everybody has the chance to touch the water that wants to when they go to our Short Beach complex. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes the public forum. The council meeting starts at 8 o'clock prompt. Thank you.